Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a book that has been changing the way people approach productivity, work, and life. It's called Mind Management, Not Time Management by David Kadavy. This book offers a new way of thinking about productivity that moves beyond the traditional focus on time management. Instead, Kadavy explores the idea that the real key to achieving what we want lies in managing our mental energy and tapping into our mental cycles. If you've ever felt like you're constantly managing your calendar but not making real progress, or if you've noticed that despite packing your schedule, you're still not feeling accomplished, this book has a message for you. Kadavy's ideas provide an alternative to the time-blocking, hour-by-hour planning style of productivity and offer something more flexible, creative, and, ultimately, effective. Introduction: Moving beyond time management. Let's start with why Kadavy believes that traditional time management methods fall short. In the beginning, he talks about how we tend to measure productivity in terms of hours worked or the number of tasks completed. We look at a day as a series of blocks to fill, believing that if we manage every hour well, we'll be more productive. However, Kadavy argues that this approach has limits. Time is finite. No matter how much we try to maximize it, we still only have 24 hours in a day. More importantly, this approach can overlook the natural rhythms of our minds. Kadavy explains that our brains don't work like machines, they aren't consistently at peak performance. Sometimes we're full of creative ideas and energy, and at other times, we feel mentally drained. And this is where he introduces the concept of managing our minds rather than managing our time. By aligning our tasks with our mental states instead of trying to force productivity in every available hour, we can get more meaningful work done. The concept of mental cycles. One of the core principles of Kadavy's book is understanding and working with our mental cycles. Just like our bodies have natural rhythms, so do our minds. These cycles determine when we're most creative, when we're best suited for focus, and when we need rest. Kadavy argues that by identifying these natural cycles, we can structure our days to fit our mental energy rather than forcing our minds to adapt to a strict schedule. He believes that when we learn to identify these mental highs and lows, we can create a productivity system that's tailored to us. He explains that we should start by paying attention to when we feel most energized or creative. Are you more creative in the morning? Or does inspiration strike in the afternoon? By keeping track of these patterns, we can start to create a mental map that tells us when to do certain types of tasks. This allows us to work in harmony with our minds, getting the most out of our peak times and using our low-energy moments for less demanding tasks. Attention residue and the cost of task switching. A big part of Kadavy's argument is that traditional productivity methods don't consider the psychological impact of switching between tasks. He describes a phenomenon called attention residue. When we switch from one task to another, especially tasks that require different types of thinking, part of our attention remains stuck on the previous task. This residual attention means that our focus isn't fully on the new task, leading to less effective work. Kadavy suggests that by grouping similar tasks together and dedicating time blocks to specific types of work, we can minimize this attention residue. For example, if we have a lot of creative work to do, it's better to tackle it all in one session rather than breaking it up with administrative or technical tasks. This way, our mind stays in a creative state without being disrupted by unrelated tasks. Designing environments for mind management. In order to fully manage our minds, Kadavy emphasizes the importance of designing our environment to support our mental state. He talks about the idea of having specific spaces or setups for different types of work. When we enter a particular environment, it can signal our brains to enter a certain mindset. For example, having a dedicated workspace for deep, focused work can help us mentally prepare for that type of work whenever we enter that space. Conversely, a more relaxed environment can help signal to our brain that it's time to take a break. Kadavy also explains that our digital environment has a huge impact on our mental focus. Notifications, open tabs, and apps can all contribute to scattered attention. He advises setting up digital environments that are optimized for focused work by turning off notifications, keeping only necessary tabs open, and reducing the number of digital distractions. The power of aimlessness. In a world that often pushes for productivity at every moment, Kadavy introduces the concept of aimlessness, which he describes as allowing time for unstructured thought. Aimlessness, he explains, gives our minds the freedom to wander and can be a powerful source of creative energy. When we aren't focusing on a specific task, our minds have the chance to make connections between ideas, come up with new perspectives, and refresh our mental resources. Kadavy encourages readers to embrace moments of aimlessness in their routines. This might mean going for a walk without a destination in mind, sitting in a park and observing, or doing a task that doesn't require much mental effort. He believes these aimless moments allow our minds to enter a different mode of thinking, one that can lead to breakthroughs and new insights. Constructive procrastination and mental processing. Kadavy's take on procrastination might surprise some readers. Instead of viewing it as something to avoid, he sees procrastination as an opportunity for mental processing. He suggests that putting off certain tasks can actually allow our subconscious mind to work on problems without the pressure of deadlines. This type of procrastination isn't about avoidance, but about giving our minds the space to sort through ideas or challenges. He explains that our subconscious mind often continues working on tasks even when we're not actively thinking about them. So, if we allow ourselves to delay certain tasks, we might find that our minds are better prepared when we do finally sit down to work on them. This constructive procrastination can lead to better quality work and reduce the stress that often accompanies rushed tasks. Establishing routines and rituals. Kadavy goes into depth about the importance of routines and rituals in managing our minds effectively. He argues that routines are like mental shortcuts that help us conserve energy. When we have established routines, we don't need to make decisions about every single action, which saves mental energy for more important tasks. Rituals, on the other hand, are a bit different. They are intentional actions that help us signal to our brain that it's time for a specific mental state. For example, a ritual could be as simple as making a cup of coffee before diving into creative work. These rituals become cues that prepare our minds for different types of tasks. Over time, our brains learn to associate these rituals with certain mental states, making it easier to transition into focused work, relaxation, or creativity. Working better, not harder. One of Kadavy's most profound points is the idea that our goal shouldn't be to work harder but to work better. In the traditional productivity model, working more hours often equals more success. But Kadavy argues that this isn't necessarily true, especially for creative work. Instead of focusing on the quantity of work we do, we should focus on the quality. By aligning our tasks with our mental states, we can accomplish more meaningful work and avoid burnout. Kadavy encourages us to evaluate our work based on its impact rather than the time we spend on it. He suggests that if we're doing tasks that feel aligned with our mental energy and natural cycles, we'll be able to produce higher quality work with less effort. This approach requires us to be more mindful and intentional, choosing work that matches our current mindset and energy levels. The Manage Your Mindset approach. Kadavy sums up his ideas with what he calls the Manage Your Mindset approach. This approach encourages us to tune into our mental states and adjust our work accordingly. Rather than planning our day based purely on time slots, we should plan it based on what our minds are ready for. For example, if we feel mentally energized, we can focus on creative or challenging tasks. But if we feel mentally tired, we can work on easier, routine tasks that don't demand as much focus. This approach requires flexibility and self-awareness. Kadavy believes that by being attuned to our mental state and respecting our mental energy, we can achieve more effective and satisfying work. Rest and recovery. Kadavy is clear that managing our minds also means prioritizing rest and recovery. He explains that our minds need downtime just as much as our bodies do. Rest and recovery allow us to recharge and return to work with renewed energy. By scheduling breaks, getting enough sleep, and taking time away from our work, we can maintain a sustainable level of productivity and prevent burnout. He highlights the importance of recognizing that rest isn't a luxury but a necessity. It's during rest that our brains process information, consolidate memories, and make creative connections. Kadavy encourages readers to see rest as part of their productivity process, not separate from it. Conclusion: the path to mind management. As we wrap up, Kadavy's central message is that productivity isn't just about getting more done, but about achieving work that is meaningful and aligned with our strengths. By focusing on managing our minds, we can create a productivity system that respects our mental energy, honors our creativity, and allows us to work in harmony with our natural rhythms. Kadavy's approach is about embracing our mental cycles, respecting our mind's needs for rest and flexibility, and ultimately, creating a more fulfilling work life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Mind Management, Not Time Management by David Kadavy, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.